Okay, so in order to get a nice HDRIs, there are a couple of sites that I actually use a lot to get them. One of them is this site. You can just copy the address. It has pretty nice results. Yeah, and this is actually an opportunity for me to show you and to explain you what an HDRI does. An HDRI basically provides the illumination but affects the environment as if our model actually were in that site. For example, I have these images that I saved when I was setting the image for the first time, setting the scene for the first time. This is the same scene. As you can see, the complete mood of the render is kind of blue, kind of cold, because the illumination is coming from a place like that. I mean, you can see here in the reflection how this wall is actually reflecting the concrete here, and this part of the wall is reflecting, and the floor too is reflecting the environment. So we have a render with this kind of bluish mood. In this case, well, I want to make a bluish render because I already selected my background, and it is this one. So we're gonna get to it a little bit later. So well, you can download the HDRIs from here. You can see a preview of the HDRI. In this case, for example, this forest HDRIs, well, you have to know that if you set the background HDRI and you apply this bitmap there, then you will have these trees as a reflection. You can also use just, for example, the global illumination using an HDRI, and you can set your background, or you can just turn it off or something, and then you will not have reflections, but you will have the illumination coming from your HDRI. So another site where I download them is from here, HDR Labs, I'm sorry, and it's a pretty nice site. You can find a lot of HDRIs, so you don't have to wait for me or for anybody else to be uploading them. These guys sell a really nice product, and they come with this idea that you don't need high quality images for your environment and for your background. You just need a high definition image for your background, and you need a low resolution image for your illumination. In this case, we're not even gonna use the background, so I don't care if this is blurry or not, if there's a sheep behind, or I don't know, a pterodactyl or anything like that. It's not of my care. So because in the end I can save it as a PNG image, and we will not have the background there. We will just have the transparencies. So next thing I want to show you is how to rotate the HDRIs, because it is kind of hard. Okay, as you can see, we have this reference here. This little thing here is here at my render. So I want you to remember what it is. It is basically here on top of my painting. So I'm gonna go to my options, I'm gonna go to environment, and then I'm gonna rotate. I'm not gonna rotate the GI HDRI yet, but I'm just gonna rotate this. Look at this. We have these rotation options, which is everything we have. I'm gonna rotate it just 10 degrees so you can see the result and we don't get lost on the render. So illumination is gonna be the same. Just remember where this is. Now I'm gonna hit the render button, and I'm gonna pause the video again. Okay, so here's the render. If you remember, this thing here was right here before. The 10 degrees that I moved, that I changed in the rotation of the HDRI in the background settings, moved the environment, the complete image, this much. So these are basically the 10 degrees of the image. So what we're gonna do, for example, we're gonna go again to background, and we're gonna change this, I don't know, something like 75, just as example. And I'm also gonna go here and I'm gonna change this 75 degrees. So I'm gonna hit the render button again and let's see what happens. Okay, this is the result. So the complete scene is kind of dark. It's like in a night scene because of the HDRI. So what we're gonna do, well, I'm gonna go to my image and I'm gonna rotate it in order to get the bluish part coming from this part, and I also want it to be brighter. So I already made this one, so I don't have to waste I don't have to make so many tests. So I'm just gonna go again to the GI. I'm gonna change the rotation to 200. Again, I have this image here so I can know where to rotate it from. The model is always going to be right here at the middle. So the same thing goes for here. So I rotate it 200 degrees and I can increase the multiplier. If you increase the multiplier, in this case, well, I could try with something like 2, maybe 3, well, but I already made this and I'm going to go to 16, and for this I'm going to go for 15. So with this, what I want is to get the bluish color of the sea. So in the end, when I will be making my post-production, the background is gonna blend a little bit more with my illumination of the scene, because it's going to be kind of bluish. So I'm gonna hit the render button again. Okay, so as you can see, render is about to finish and illumination is much better now. It's not just brighter, but it has this bluish tint which will blend much easier in the post-production stage with our background. You see how well, my intention was to make this scene look a little bit like it comes like it has its illumination because of the place where it is. So it's pretty good for now. The rest is just going to be post-production. So illumination with HDRIs is something I like to do a lot. I have actually a few examples here. For this scene I used the same HDRI. Well, in this case I used this image here. The background, all the trees are actually the background image I used for the HDRI. Well, as you can see, we can have pretty nice reflections coming right from the HDRI, and we don't have to use the rest of the HDRI. I mean, in this case, just this part of the rendering comes from the HDRI. The rest is the background that I used in Photoshop. So it's the same thing again, and it's just reflecting here this little part of the pavement. I'm sorry, and the rest is just the background. Well, in this case, I used one of the new HDRIs. This one didn't have so much resolution, but it's a pretty nice result. And the same thing goes for this. Actually, this HDRI is the same one that I'm using right now. The difference of colors comes just from Photoshop. This thing again, and again, this is one of the HDRIs that I downloaded from the first site that I showed you. So we have our illumination already, and we're going to start working with our materials. Again, we're going to have pretty nice results with the reflections, because the materials are not just going to reflect the simple sky of the vray, but it's going to reflect some of the clouds, some of the sea, and all of those things. So next thing we have to work with is the material editing.